stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
So I'm watching the Bucs-Raiders game. Mark Schlereth has gotten some good games. So Mark Schlereth, 3 Super Bowl rings. You know that. 2-time Pro Bowler. Joining us, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. You know, there has been sort of this, I kind of laugh at Tom Brady, Mark, because, first of all, he looks so young. There's some skin oil he's using or something's happening because he looks so young. But when you watched him yesterday, do you go back 7-8 years? Does he look the same? Is the fastball a little off?
No, he looks exactly the same. He doesn't look like he's lost any velocity on the fastball. Obviously, he understands where he wants to go with the football. He communicates where he wants his receivers to be with ball placement. Incredibly accurate on the deep ball. I mean, he just was throwing dimes right and left yesterday. It was an amazing performance, 369 yards, 4 TDs throwing, and he had a rushing TD as well. I mean, this guy is really, it's so funny because I asked him early in the season, where are you? He goes, hey, I'm dating this offense. I was married for 20 years. I'm dating this offense. And I said to him, hey, did you get to third base yet with this offense? He goes, no, I'm sliding into second right now. That's where I am with this offense, sliding into second. So, they just keep building on this offense. His receivers keep building. And he said something to me that was one of the most interesting things that I've heard, Colin. I think you're going to really appreciate this. He says, in New England this time of year, I would always go to the side with my receivers and we'd work. While the defense was playing, we'd be working on our routes, our route combinations, where I want guys to be. He goes, it's so damn hot in Tampa that during those breaks when the defense is doing plays, we're trying to recover. So I'm not getting the extra work that I got for 20 years in New England because my guys are too tired from running in the heat. So I have not been able to kind of do the extra stuff that I like to do with my guys. So really interesting kind of perspective of the difference between playing in a cold weather city and playing in a hot city like Tampa.
Yeah, it is fascinating, and you got to give Tampa credit. Not only did Gronk come over, which matters now because the Bucs have lost a tight end for the year, but they've got Tyler Johnson, rookies now, Scott Miller, and they're going to bring in Antonio Brown. So they're just giving Tom more and more weapons. They understand guys get hurt. When you look at Tampa's defense, it's really fast. People worry about the back end, but for people that didn't watch all of this game, are you confident that this is a Super Bowl defense?
Absolutely. And, people worry about the back end just because the guys are young and they don't know any of them. I'm telling you what, they are as talented at the back end as anybody in football. They got 3 guys that can legit cover. Carlton Davis is a legit cover corner, as is Sean Murphy-Bunting. Jamel Dean's their fastest DB, and he's a great player. You saw him have the pick 6 against the Green Bay Packers 2 weeks ago. And then there are 2 safeties. I mean, Jordan Whitehead will come up and thump you in the chest, and so will Antoine Winfield Jr. But Antoine Winfield Jr. is a 3-level safety. I mean, he can blitz, he can play in the box as a linebacker, and he's a good middle-of-the-field defender as well. So people just don't know them. They're young, and people look at that as as a detriment, but it's not. They're really good. They're super aggressive. Todd Bowles has them playing well, and I'll put their 2 inside linebackers against any 2 inside linebackers in football. They are fast. They are filthy. They are nasty, and they do things. In my mind, they do things like Junior Seau back in the day. They do things that are unsound. They're so fast, and they're so good at reading and diagnosing things. They'll do a few things that are unsound at times, and that they're making a 4-yard tackle in the backfield. I mean, it's amazing how good they are. All 3 levels of this defense. Then you put the pass rushers in with JPP and Shaq Barrett. I'm telling you what, they're an outstanding defensive football team, the kind of defense that can lead you to a championship.
So you were supposed to do the Arizona-Seattle game, but it got moved, so you end up getting Tom Brady. That's not a bad, second prize. So you've covered Seattle and Arizona before. Obviously, Arizona's won, I think, 7 of 10. There's a lot of stuff going in the right direction here. But I said about Seattle, everybody's going to talk about the 3 interceptions, but they're becoming the Houston Rockets with James Harden. It's mesmerizing, but he's exhausted by the end of the season. Russell Wilson, they're allowing 6.5 yards a play. The reason he's throwing interceptions, one of the reasons is he's everything. It's not letting Russ cook. He runs the restaurant. And I just wonder, with Russell Wilson, could you just wear him out? I mean, they are so reliant on everything. What do you make of these two teams, and specifically Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, with Russell Wilson, I said this in the first broadcast of the season. Everybody says, let Russ cook. I said, how about just let him simmer? You can get a great meal in a crock pot. You just put it on the counter all day. You're not going to burn your kitchen down, right? And that's historically been what they have been. They're going to run the ball. They're going to set up some play action. Russ is going to take some shots down the football field. They're outstanding that way. But I am with you. They have got to find a pass rush. They've got to tie the front end of their defense to the back end of their defense, because right now, the one thing you see on a consistent basis is they can't generate pressure. They can't get to the opponent's quarterback. So even if you're in great coverage, I don't care who you are in the National Football League, you can't cover the receivers that exist in this league for 3.5 seconds. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. So until they can kind of tie that front end with the back end, which, I don't know where you're going to go to find a pass rusher. They don't. They just don't grow on trees, and there's not a lot of guys that are readily available unless you could find a trade somewhere with a team that's just reeling and they don't want to pay a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is going to be the only option that you're going to have, and I just don't know how many teams are willing to let go of a legitimate, like, big-time war daddy pass rusher. They just don't let those guys out.
So I said this earlier, is that what's amazing about Arizona is that Steve Wilkes was a coach a year and a half ago, and then they just admitted, we made a mistake. He's a coordinator, not a coach. Josh Rosen, they're like, no, we're going to upgrade. And now they're not defined by that. Nobody talks about that. It's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. I look at Dallas, Mark, and I think, okay, if you don't make a move on this staff really quick, you're going to be defined for the next half decade in this division by that. Like, I think Dallas, and I never am fire the coach guy. I think it's just, you whiffed. It happens. Jerry, you're a billionaire. You're a smart guy. You whiffed. I think I'd clean house, and I'd do it by Thanksgiving. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, what's that going to change? Like, if there's a difference between empowering a coach and appointing a coach. So you're going to appoint another coach? Listen, if you won't empower Bill Parcells, what makes you think you're going to empower anybody? It's just not going to happen. They'll never win unless Jerry steps down from his role as the grand poobah of all things football and empowers somebody to make decisions. Like, as an owner, you know what your job really is to do? Write checks. That's your job. Yet Jerry is out there, the forefront of the organization, having post-game press conferences, being on a radio show, telling everybody about the team twice a week or whatever it is. I mean, circumventing your coach's authority at every turn. That's been the organization. That's the structure of the organization. And I just don't believe you win with that structure in place. Think about this, Colin. Just last week when they lost, right? Just last week when they lost to Arizona on a Monday night game, they lost to Arizona. The next day, players come out anonymously, right? Anonymously, and rip on the coaches. They don't know what they're doing. They don't have us prepared. Why do you do that? If your coach has authority, you don't do that, right? They don't have authority. So that is a direct pipeline to our owner. Oh, things aren't going well. It's not us, the players, it's the coaches. Like, at some point, really, hold your organization accountable, empower the people that you hire, give them the power to make a decision, and ultimately, whoever it is that's whining and complaining and being out there throwing anonymous quotes, you should fire that guy. That guy should get fired. By the way, your quarterback gets laid out and not one guy, like, you want to talk about cultural, just lack of culture, lack of anything football wise. Your quarterback gets laid out and you just stand around and watch it. Like at some point, somebody got to throw fists in that situation.
Yeah.
And I'm not a condoner of violence, but that is baloney.
Yeah.
And that's that organization right now. And it starts at the top with Jerry.
Yeah. By the way, only about a minute left, Mark Schlereth. I watched Pittsburgh and Tennessee, and I thought, oh, they're going to play again. They're going to play again. Like, that is not the last time they're going to play. It's funny. The first half, I thought Pittsburgh, and I picked Pittsburgh to win. They rolled them. Second half, I'm like, oh, no, Tennessee figured it out. Vrabel's a very good coach. If they were to play again, would you still like Pittsburgh?
I would. I think Pittsburgh, just from an offensive standpoint, the weaponry standpoint, and also defensively, their ability to create pass rush opportunities, their ability to pressure the opponent's quarterback. I just think they're really good on both sides of the ball that way. I would give Pittsburgh a slight edge, but I'm 100% with you on Vrabel. Vrabel has taken so much from that Belichick tree, if you will, or that Belichick knowledge about the rules and how to, how to circumvent and put guys in great positions and how to adjust, halftime adjustments, and all those things that Tennessee seems to be able to do. I just really think he's a hell of a football coach.
Mark Schlereth, 3 Super Bowl rings. Good seeing you, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Likewise, man. I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Yep, he was going to have the Seahawks-Arizona game. He got the Bucs instead. Wasn't quite the game, but you got Brady, that defense. I think right now Tampa's the best team in the NFL. Coming up next, I thought the media and fans really missed the story of Cleveland's win over Cincinnati. It's not Baker Mayfield. I'll talk about that, plus calling right, calling wrong, top of next hour on a Monday coming up. Seeing the check engine light come on for most people is bad news. Anxiety,